Before you cross the road, be sure to look left, look right, and then maybe look left again, paying particular attention for any red and white cars out there. Is it safe to cross? Good. Come on over, because I've got 19 reasons to read Christine. Brum brum. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and I'm continuing my walk through the bibliography of Stephen King in chronological order, giving you 19 cool things and cool reasons to read every single book. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in more of, please do hit subscribe and check out all my other videos too. We've now reached 1983, which was a busy year for Stephen King as he published 3 books. We're tackling the first of those here, Christine, which was also adapted into a movie by John Carpenter and released in the very same year. Crazy. Anyway, we're here for the books, so let's get moving. Buckle up your seatbelt, find the oldies on the radio, and get set for 19 reasons to read Christine. And as always, some spoilers lie ahead. Beep beep. So as you probably know, the basic hook for Christine is kill a car, or to be more accurate, car possessed by evil forces that goes around killing people. The killing people is a constant. King actually mentioned Christine in his afterword to different seasons, saying that he thought his haunted car would make plenty of people nervous about crossing the street after dark. I don't know about you, but he had me at haunted car. So King's inspiration for this story is not as gruesome as you might think. He was driving home one night and he happened to notice his car's odometer flick from 9,999.9 miles to 10,000 miles. His brain got worrying about how weird it might be if a car's odometer were running backwards, and if that somehow de-aged the car, and what would happen when it got to 0. Pretty soon, King started writing that story, which he thought would be a fun little short thing, but quite quickly, Christine emerged out of it instead. If you haven't realised yet, Christine is the spooky car. She's a 1958 Plymouth Fury in red and white. King decided to go for a 58 Plymouth Fury because, in his words, it was the most mundane of all the 50s cars he could remember, and he didn't want to go for a car that already had a legend attached to it. Interestingly, Plymouth didn't actually make any 58 Furies in red and white. But, you know, Christine is a special car, so don't let that small detail put you off. So while this tale is about a haunted / killer car, it also has some loved up teenagers at its heart too. We've got the nerd, Arnie Cunningham, who falls in love with Christine at first sight even though she's completely run down and dilapidated, and buys her for $250 with his heart set on restoring her. Then we have Arnie's best friend, Dennis Gilder, a bit of a jock and a bit of a prick, but generally, overall, probably okay. As well as that, we've got Lee Cabot, the new girl in school who all the boys fall for and who, quite weirdly, ends up dating Arnie. And then, of course, there's Christine. All of these intertwined relationships really help you get invested in the cast of characters and help you just fall into the story. Another big part of this story is music, specifically 50s music, which is the only thing you can get on Christine's radio. Each chapter in the book has a line from a golden oldie at its start, and King had to pay $15,000 to cover the permissions to allow him to actually do this in print. Whoa! So King considered Christine to be his first pure horror book since The Shining 5 years previously, and I'm sure it certainly helped calm the nerves of his publishers, who might have got a bit worried when they saw different seasons and perhaps were scared that King was going to run away from the genre that was making them and him a lot of money. This book is dedicated to King's friend George A. Romero, and that dedication also ties into why the book is set in Romero's native Pittsburgh rather than the usual Maine. The eagle-eyed among you will also notice that Arnie's parents work at Horlicks University, which is a location mentioned in Creepshow and comes up later in King's work in From a Buick 8. I've always found that a bit of a weird name because where I come from, Horlicks is a fucking disgusting malted drink. But hey ho, While we're talking links to other works, I should mention that Christine herself does get around a bit. She is the vehicle of choice for an undead Belch Huggins to chauffeur Henry Bowers around in It. She's left abandoned on the roadside in the uncut version of The Stand, and she appears in a bunch of movie and TV adaptations too. Just a few of those which include Christine are the intro to Cat's Eye, 11/22/63, In the Tall Grass, Ready Player One, and Sharknado 4. Look, I didn't say they were all good movies, did I? So we have our hormone-fueled high school teens. That means we also need a gang of bullies, right? And we all know King does greaser bullies brilliantly, so Buddy Repperton and his gang of shit kickers are no exception to that rule. They are awful, and Arnie is their prime target. To get to Arnie, they decide to try and take out Christine. Bad idea. Especially a bad idea when one of Buddy's gang takes a shit on Christine's dashboard. This isn't going to end well for you boys. So that attack on Christine does not stop her. In fact, it only makes her angry. She's basically able to fix herself, and then, once she's ready, she sets about taking revenge and takes out all of Buddy's gang, one at a time. Some of the best scenes in this book are where Christine is hunting down those fuckers. One of Stephen King's strengths is creating really vivid, nasty, horrible supporting characters, and there's a couple worth a mention in Christine. First is the manky old man Roland D. LeBay, Christine's only previous owner and the old geezer who sells Christine to Arnie at the start of the story. He's horrible, he wears a back brace and he calls everyone else in the world a shitter. You'll be pretty pleased to see the back of him, and then pretty gutted when he sort of re-emerges as he takes over Arnie's body as the story continues and goes on. Oh, and LeBay also has this charming thought to offer, that the smell of a new car is better than any other smell in the world, except for, maybe, pussy. Thanks, old man. So the other manky character is Will Darnell, who runs the do-it-yourself garage where Arnie eventually takes Christine and fixes her up. Will is also a part-time gangster. He's a crook, he's pretty scummy, you don't really feel any love for him. And he's a classic example of how King can make this really vivid, vile supporting character that is just there to pepper those pages with an extra bit of seasoning. Now there are some pretty scary scenes in this book. The one where Lee is in Christine and is choking and is only saved from death by a hitchhiker they happen to have picked up, that one will give you the jitters. But perhaps the scariest of all is Arnie and Dennis's horrible New Year's Eve drive in Christine, where you really learn just how possessed and evil this car is. It's horrendous in the best kind of way. So Dennis and Lee eventually get together and hatch out a plan to destroy Christine using a pink septic tank called Petunia. No, I don't know where he gets these names from either. There's a whole lot of crushing going on, but is Christine really dead? You'll have to read it to find out. Lastly, despite how chunky this book is, both of my editions are pretty chunky actually, it's a really, really breezy read. You will fly through these pages and will just get sucked into the story from start to finish. Yes, it's a bit cheesy and a bit pulpy, but it's also pop culture at its fucking finest. And it's a key part of the King legend. It's got blood, gore, love, loss, and rock and roll. What more could you possibly want? So there you go, 19 reasons to read Christine. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos either. And feel free to check out some of my old ones if you haven't already. Also, do pop over to Instagram and say hi, where I'm at Dave Musson. And if you like, check out the links in the description to find out more about my band, Chapter 19. We have a song about Stephen King called Stephen. It's the background music for this video, and it's really, really, really good. Even if you think it's really bad, you're wrong. It's really good, okay? Thanks for watching as always. I'll be back soon with the second of King's 1983 books, but until then, take care and do make sure you look both ways before you cross the street.